These are full stack students only. Okay, they are not feeling that. Okay. So in the last class, we were discussing about the Spring application. Now we already developed the small Spring application. We have developed it. Then that Spring application today we'll see like how to convert that Spring application, same application into Spring Boot. Then how much it is easy we'll come to know today, and what are the difference between the that Spring Boot and Spring as well. We'll see today. Okay. Then before that, before that, let's discuss about like what is the difference. Before that, let's discuss about the what we developed that day. So this is the project which we have developed that day. This is the project, this is the one which we have developed that day. So this is the one. So first we have developed a simple application, simple programs, core. It's a kind of core Java program, not in is in MVC as well. Simple core Java application we have developed it. After developing the Spring simple core Java application, so like I took a wish message provider class. Wish message provider class. Inside the wish message provider class, I took a get wish message method. It's a non-static method. Since it is a non-static method, so we need to create an object for
Hello,
in a
Karthik,
Spring.
cannot hear you.
Yes. Now, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes. So, okay, since this is a non-static method, we need to create an object to call this non-static method. But I don't want to create an object using a new keyword explicitly in a Spring Boot or Spring. Who needs to create an object then? So in that case, in such cases, who needs to create is IOC container. I'm expecting a container to be create a object and container to be done the necessary injections. Then how container can do inject it? How container can create it? So since this is a normal class, if we make this normal class as a Spring Bean, if we make this normal class as a Spring Bean, then container only will create an object. How to make this as a normal class as a Spring Bean is we need to write in a application-context.xml file. Application-context.xml. So there we need to mention in like this. We need to mention like this. See here, I just mentioned a wish message provider class, and here I just mentioned a date class. So by seeing these two, container can create a object to both of this. Then by seeing this one, container will understand. Oh, I need this PD bean ID. What is the bean ID? PD. This bean ID I need to inject to the wish message provider like that. It will think. So that is why to inject this one, we need to use this property. To inject that, we need to use this property tag. This is a application context.xml. This is application context.xml. So then, so I took a main class there where I have written public static void main. Then I just created a container, IOC container using application context container. Application context CTX is equals to new class path XML application context. Then I just given the fully qualified XML name to the container. All these things I did it. Then I'm just getting a bean ID. Then I'm just calling the wish message. I'm just calling a bean.get wish message. So here, did I created anywhere? Did I created anywhere wish message provider class object? No, I haven't created anywhere with the new keyword or any new instance or anything. Anyway, I haven't created it. But who is creating is container is creating it. Sir, what is the proof that container is creating an object for a What is the proof that container is creating an object for a wish message provider only? Sir, whenever an object is created in a object is created in heap area, JVM will generate a unique ID that is called hash code. I'm trying to print the hash code for this one. Yes, yes. When I try to print a hash code, the some hash code has printed. So not, but what is the guarantee? This hash code is the only object. This hash code object is like hash code related object is the only class object is for only this class. Then just to print, try to print a runtime class object, class name. Sorry, just try to print a runtime class name like bean dot get a class dot get name. Now if you can run it, see here, Java application. You just can run it. See here, good evening has printed and some hash code has printed. Then, so what is the class of this bean? So com.tech.service.wish message provided has printed. So what is the flow of this one? Let's discuss about very quickly. Let's discuss about the flow and then jump into the Spring Boot conversions. So flow, how the flow will be Spring Boot. This application flow will be. So you already knows it in the core Java. Since this is a standalone application, like not a web application, standalone application. So always the execution order will start from the main method. Always the execution order starts from the main method. Execution order, execution flow starts from the main method. Yes, from here it will start the main method. From here it will start it. Once it is JVM always look for a public static void main method, then directly it will call the JVM will call the main method. JVM will call the main method. That is why since JVM is pointing out this main method, that is why this main method is public. And JVM no need to create a object to call this main method. So that is why this is a static. That is why main method is static. Why main method? Very popular interview question. Why main method is public and why main method is static? Very popular interview question. And void is a return type and main is a method name. You already aware of it. So once JVM located this main method, then it will call main method. Then next, what we are doing is we are creating in this step we are creating a application context container. In this step, we are creating a application context container. We are creating an application context container here in this step. We are creating it. We are creating it. So what are all the containers are present in a Spring? In a Spring, two containers is there: Bean Factory container and application context. So if you just create a application context container object, then that means object is container is initialized. That means container is created. Then here container is created. Once the container is created, here container has created. Once the container has created, what I'm trying to do is I'm just yes, container is created. This is application context is an interface, and implementing this interface is a class path XML application context is a class which is implementing this application context interface. Okay, so once the container is created, I'm just handovering the whatever the XML which is which is which is created and which have a Spring Beans. I'm just handovering to the container. Then first container will check is this XML is well formed or not. Well formed or not. We'll check. We'll check whether it is perfect or not. Yes. Is there any compile time errors or is there any issues are there in a XML format? Like that, it will check. Yes, it is. If it is well formed, what container will do is container will go into the application context.xml will load in container will load the application context.xml and it will look for a, it will go inside this XML file and it will look for a spring beans. It will look for a spring beans. So immediately container will identify, oh, there is a two spring beans are there. One is wish message provider and another one is date class. Like that container will check it. Then container immediately, I will application context, I will container immediately will create a object for this wish message provider class, and also immediately it will create a object for date class as well. Date class as well. So once it is created objects, once it is created objects, creates the, this is again and again going to this calibrate. Yes, once it is well formed, everything checked, it will creates the objects for creates the objects for spring beans. Whatever the spring bean you have mentioned in the application hyphen context.xml, for that one it will create a object. It will create an object. Once it is create an object, then it will go and it will put it in a internal memory. It will go and it will put it in a internal memory. Like this it will put it. Like this it will put it. How it will store in a internal memory is like this it will store a memory. Like bean ID. Bean ID is a unique name. Bean ID and the reference. Object reference. Bean ID and object reference. If you want, if you want this object, like let's say here, bean ID is what? Bean ID is what? WMP and PD. WMP, and this is a this is wish message generator. Like this. Like this it will be there. Like this it will be there. WMP wish message generator. Then then next one is PD, present date, and it will java.util dot class object. Java dot util dot this class object, it will hold like this. It will hold like this. So if you if any time in any time in the entire the application, if we need a object of this class, if we need the object of this class, just submit this bean id and get it. Submit this bean id and get it. Submit this bean id and get it. You no need to again create, or you no need to again make it. So it will be, it will container will keep in a memory, right? Internal memory, right? So it can be reusable. For example, in a service class you have used this. A service class you have used. In a service class you have used the which message provider. Which message provider you have used in a service. Again, in a util package also, like helper classes also, you want to use this wish message provider classes. In a helper classes also you want to use it. That at that time again you can directly submit this bean id and get it and use it. You no need to again make it. So in the entire whole project, if you make once a bean id, if you make any class as a spring bean once, you can use any number of times. You can use any number of time. If you can make bean once, you can use any number of times. Like this, because it will keep in a internal memory like this. So once the container creates the objects for a dependent class and target class, it will put it in a internal memory like this. Then once it created a, first it will go into the XML and it will check whether the classes are, or all these classes are there or not. Like what are all the classes are made by developer as a spring bean, it will check. So these are the two classes developer has made a spring bean. Then yes, immediately it will create objects and put it in a internal memory. Then after that, here it will observe this one. Property name is equals to date and reference is equals to PD. It will observe this one. Property name is equals to date and PD is equals to reference is equals to PD. Then immediately it will try to search for this date, this property name. Immediately container will try to search this property in this class, because see here this property tag we are writing in between these tags. See this bean tag started here, ended here, started here and ended here. Since we have written a property name as a date, container will expect this date to be present in the wish message provider class. Yes, go and check. Yes, this property with the same name it is there. Same name it is there. Yes, same name it is present. When if we found the same name, then what container will do is container will inject this bean ID, this bean ID class to this one, to this class. What is the what is the class having a bean ID as a PD? What is the class having a bean ID as a PD? Date class have a bean ID as a PD. So this class object container will inject to the wish message provider. Then injection completed. Injection completed at this level itself. At this line itself, injection also completed, sir. At this line itself, injection completed. What are all happens in this line? First, container will be created. First, container to be created at this line. Then after it will load the XML file. Then after it will check. After loading, it will check whether it is well formed or not. If it is well formed, then it will create a object for a spring beans. Objects for a spring beans, it will create it. Once it create an object, then it will put it in a, once it create an object, it will put it in a internal memory. Internal memory. Then again, after putting in an internal memory, then it will do the necessary injections, like injecting a dependent class to the target class will do it. Who can do? Container one can do. So entire at this line number, all these things will happen. All these things happen. This is one. This is first step. This is first step. This is second step. This is third step. Then fourth step is injections. Fourth step, injection. Injection, necessary injection can do. Injections, injection can do. Injection can do. Then after, what we are doing it. Then after we are just doing something here. What we are doing it. So what I'm trying to do is already containers kept containers created a wish message provider class object. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yes. So once the sorry here I have written a wish message generated. No, it's wish message provider. So once 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 the object is created, provider wish message provider class. So here already container has created an object for wish message provider class. Container is already created the object. So, but now my intention is I want to call this method, get wish message method. So to call this method, since this is a non-static method, I need a object. I need a object. Object is already created by container. So just submit a bean ID, submit a bean ID and get the object for this wish message provider class. Submit a bean ID and get the object for wish message provider class from the internal memory. How to do that? So that can be done using a there is a method in a class path XML application context. Class path application context. class, there is a method that is get bean method is there. So just go inside this method, this class path XML application context. How to go inside this one? Just press control and hover it. Press control and hover it. Go inside it. Yes. Open implementation. Just open implementation. Or just so you already came to public class path XML application context. Then here try to see what are all the methods this class is having. So how can you check? How can you go? So just control and control plus hover over it. If you want to go into if we want to go inside any predefined class. This is a shortcut. This is a shortcut. If you want to go inside any class, just control and hover it. Now, whatever the methods are present in this class, I want to see it. Then control O is the shortcut. Control O is the shortcut. So here get bean method will be there. Get bean method will be. Sir, here that method is not present. That method is not present. So this method might it present in a another one. Let me show you. Listable application context container. Here get bean. So get bean. Where it is there? Wait. Get bean method. See here this get bean method we are calling on a CTX reference. That means it will be here. So bean factory class. It is there here. Bean factory class is just a super um, super interface for application context container. Super interface for application context container. No issues. Some relationship is there. No issues. See application context in interface is a child interface for bean factory interface. Bean factory interface. If you want, I can show you by going inside everywhere. So by calling the get bean method of application context or bean factory container, by calling a get bean, and we need to submit a bean ID. Which object we want? Which class object we want to get it? Which message provider class object we want to provide it. So for this which message provider class, we only given the bean ID, right? Like saying WMP. So by submitting the bean ID, just get the object. Just get the object. But see here, what is the return type of this get bean? Object return type. Just to convert into this message provider, I'm just doing a downcasting. Downcasting. Sir, get bean method return type is get bean method. I'm just submitting some bean ID WMG WNP. Sir, you need to submit the bean ID. You need to submit the demand. Same like in our any shopping mall, if you are going with any bag or something, they will put it in a rack and they will give one token to you. So whenever the shopping completed, you will come back and you will submit the token and you will take the bag. Same like that. Whenever you want anything, any class object you want, like for example, container has created 1,000 class objects. You want any class object in that, just submit a bean ID and get the that class object. Okay, so get to be get bean method return type is object class. So just I want to convert into which message provider class. So I'm just trying to down game. I'm just doing some um, typecast. I'm just doing some typecast. So I'm just doing some typecast and it's converted. It's upcasting, downcasting is there, na sir? Downcasting I'm doing it. Downcasting I'm doing it. Sir, why you are how you are telling this is a downcast? Sir, object class is a super class for all the Java classes. Than a than a object class, there is no other class. There is no another one. So that's why I'm just telling, that's why, so that's why I'm telling. So downcasting, I'm doing it. Downcasting. Yes. Downcasting, I'm doing it. Yes. Now I got a I got a wish message provider class object. Now whatever the methods are present in a wish message provider class, you can call it. See, I'm calling it. I'm calling it. We get this message. So this is the method I'm calling it. This is the method I'm calling it. So when I call this method, so what is the date? Date date object is already been injected. Data date class object is already been injected to the this message provider class with the help of setter method. With the help of setter method, it has already injected. So object is already created and it has injected. Then data dot get hours when I calling it. So we are getting a hours. Then if hours is less than a 12, we are showing a good morning. Hours is greater than a 12 and this one. It's a simple core Java application. If else if conditions we are doing it. Sir, when this setter method will be called, sir, you may get a doubt. Sir, I told you right. The objects created by container, once the objects, these two classes objects are created by container, it will put it in a memory. After that, it will try to check for a property. Is gate is a date property is present in that class or not? It will try to check it. See, for example, I'm here having a index changing to, but here still I'm putting it as a date only. Then immediately I will get a runtime error exception. Error, something I will get it. See here, I'm getting. See, here I'm getting bean creation exception. It is telling error, container is telling error creating a bean with WNP, WNP defined in class path resources application context.xml failed properties, property date throw exception. That means it is telling, hey Karthik, you just mentioned it is telling, hey Karthik, you just mentioned a property date, but that property is not present in a wish message provider class. That is why I'm canceling the creation of this class object like that. It is telling. Clear my point, sir. So whatever the property, clear my point, sir. Whatever the property here it is there, it should match with this one. It should match with this one. If we are doing a wrong, that is here now see if any issue, then immediate if any issue immediately container will not create a object. Immediately container will not create an object if any issue. Got my point? Sir, how injections can be done, sir? How injection can be done? So it will check for a property and then after, yes, property is present. Yes, property is present. Then it will try to, it's a get data object is already created. It will try to inject this data object bean ID. With the bean ID, it will try to inject to the wish message provider class with the help of setter in setter method. With the help of setter method, this is called as a setter injection. If a container uses a if container uses a setter method to inject a dependent class to the target class, this is called setter injection. This is called, sir, how can I confirm this setter injection setter method is called or not? Yes, you can do one thing. Trace, write something and sir, do you know trace? Trace just to put a logger statements. Just to put a logger statements, you can write like this. Intentionally, I'm writing just to print something. Say just to print something and just to prove you that this is being this is being called. Just to prove that this is being called. This is being called. Just to prove that's it. Now see here. See, if this doesn't use this method, it won't print in the console. If it is use this set date method, then it will be printed. Now see this message provider dot set message. Done or not? Done or not? Done or not? So like this. Clear my point. So proved or not? Clear? So so container is internally using a setter method, to inject a date class object to the this message provider class. That is why this setter method is being invoked. That is why this setter method is invoked. Who is calling internally? While doing a injections, setter injection, container itself is calling the setter method. Container itself calling the setter method. I am not calling anywhere. You can go and check anywhere. So in this way, the flow will be executed. The flow will be executed. Sir. Everything can be done by container only. Container only create object. Container only inject dependent class to target class. Everything can do it. You just concentrate on your business logic. Whatever the business logic you want to write, that business logic only you write. Remaining, I will take care of it. Like that, it will tell. Remaining, it will take care of. So now, any doubts? Any doubts on this flow? Any doubts on this flow? Please unmute yourself and tell me. Sir, if you can ask the doubts only, then I can think I can conclude that you are listening carefully. Don't think it is a silly doubt if I ask like how it could be. Don't think, sir. While learning something should be open. You should not think about others while learning something. You should think yourself itself. Any doubts on this? Any doubts? Sir, you may get a doubt. Sir, here, let's say 1,000 classes are there. 1,000 classes, do I need to make it as a Spring Beans? Yes. Yes, you need to make it as a Spring Bean 1,000 class. Sir, here, Spring Beans, do I need to make any, do I need to make dependent class is always a predefined class. Here, java.util.date, it is a predefined class, right? So here I took a dependent class as a predefined class. So don't think like dependent class is always a predefined class. No, anything dependent class or target class be anything. It may be a predefined class or it may be a user defined class. Instead of here, you can write your own class, any class. You can inject it now, no issues. Now here, let me show you one. Let me show you one thing. I think I have. So somewhere we did Amazon and Blue Dot. So Blue Dot is a, right? Blue Dot is a delivery partner for Amazon, right or wrong? Amazon is the so Amazon is a target class and Blue Dot is a dependent class, right? Blue Dot is dependent on Amazon because so Blue Dot Amazon using Blue Dot only to do the deliverables, right? So that means I need to inject a Blue Dot class to the Amazon class. I need to inject Blue Dot class to the Amazon class. Then how to make that? Just in a XML file, made this is a Amazon class instead of this message provider, write it is as a Amazon. And this is instead of here, com dot same package in the same package if it is there, or different same package if it is there, then mention this like this. Com dot check dot service dot blue dot like this. Then inject this blue dot class to the Amazon class. Then check for here, write a method, check the delivery availability or not, deliver availability or not for the pin codes like this. You can do it like this. So, so that means It means you can you can make any predefined class as a Spring Bean. You can make a user defined class also Spring Bean. Sir, why so silent, sir? You're not following me. Why so silent, everyone? Why so silent? Am I going fast? Please interrupt at that time itself. Sir, you are going fast. Naresh, why so silent? Yes.
I think so.
Okay. So, so this is the flow. You can make any Java class as Spring Bean. Either it may be a predefined or why need predefined class as a Spring Beans? Why need predefined classes? Yes, sir. Why we need it? Sir, see, for example, so you see Java has provided some of the predefined classes along with the methods. For example, string class. It has provided a string class, and inside a string class, Java has provided almost 100, 50 plus methods, useful methods. Those are useful methods. It only declared a methods. They only provided implementations. Then just they are telling, hey, if you want to use, if you want to convert this any characters into a uppercase, use two uppercase method which is present in a Java string class. You no need to write your own logic. Use mine logic itself. Use mine only. But you just create an object like that. It is telling. So inside a date class, we have a lot of methods. Date class are there to get a see set get year. If you write like date d is equals to new date and d dot get year 2024 will come. If I use get a time, time will come. What is how much the time now? So what is the time now? All these things you will get it. Now minutes, time zone. For example, I am in IST time zone. If it is in UTC time zone or Pacific time zone, anything it will get it. You will get it. Everything you will get it. See, get day. What is the day today? Get a month. What is a month? This one. What is a month? This one. November month. So get hours, get minutes, seconds, get time. Everything will get it. So to get all these things, definitely we need to create an object for a date class. But in a Spring, we should not create an object for a date class. Who needs to create it? Container is to create it. So when when container can create an object, if we make that class as a Spring Bean, then only container can create an object. Samir, you are able to understand? If I want to use, I'm sorry, if I want to use the methods which are present in a date class, obviously I need to create an object. But in a Spring, we should not create an object. Container needs to create it. If container needs to create an object, then you must make that class as a Spring Bean. Obviously, it's a Spring Bean. That's why we made date class as a Spring Bean. Clear my point. Clear my point. Sir, some of the classes will be there in a Java, most useful classes. Java people only will provide a implementation and will they only will you know they only will give a methods. Implementation also they only will do. So in an industry, people will scare about the new versions of Java or anything. But trust me, new versions always makes the developer life very easy. You know, developer life very easy. For example, in a Java 1.0, thread class objects to be created, thread T is one thread to be created like thread T is equals to new thread and a T dot start like that. Explicitly, how many threads you want to create, those many thread class objects you need to create it. 1.0 thread T is equals to new thread like this, you need to create it in a 1.0. Then after 1.2, 1.5, so thread local, thread group concept came. Thread group concept came. Thread pool concept came. So at that time, so if we learn this thread pool concept, so Java only will create a some of the threads and it will put it in a pool. Whenever you just want like 10 threads you want, you just mention 10 threads, get it. That's it. Thread pool. Then, but at this moment also you need to create an object for thread pool at least. Then 1.6 executable framework again they introduced executable framework. So according to the executable framework, you no need to even create a threadable class object as well. You no need to create it. There will be a one small static method will be there. Get the number of threads like that. There you just mention 10. I want 10 threads. It will give you 10 threads. Immediately it will give you 10 threads. This is also became a. This is also became a. You know, feel heavy. Then in 1.8 they came up with the completable feature. Completable feature. Completable feature internally use executable framework and this internal classes, then it only will do it. How good it is. See how Java is evaluated from here to here. How it evaluated. Nothing to do here. Nothing to do here. So since again based on this as well, again Spring Boot reactive programming came. Spring Boot reactive. It is again Spring Boot only will whatever the how many threads it want now. So those many threads it only will create it and it only will execute it. Publisher, this publisher subscriber only will do it. So always the new versions will make developer life very easy. So that's why be ready to learn the new versions. It will make very developer life very easy. So where is the chat box? Hey, where is the chat box? Someone has pinged something. I missed it. Oh my god. Let me stop sharing and then again reshare it. Yes. So it's not allowing to use new in Spring application. So you can create an object using a new as well. You can create an object for a class using a new keyword as well. That's good doubt, sir. Good doubt. Perfect, Samir. You can create like this as well. You can create like this as well. Like this as well. You can create it. No, it's not like always a container only. But if you create like this, if you create a like this object like this, so Spring related advantages you will not allow. So Spring will related advantages there is no feasibility to get the Spring related advantages if you create an object using a new keyword. You can create it, but you cannot get the all these things feasible advantages. So one of the scenario I will tell you in my office only. So one of my teammate, she has just created a object mapper class using a new keyword, and she made that as a Spring Bean, and then again she created a object, and she came with me and she's telling, I'm trying to inject this class object mapper class to another class, but it is not working in a Spring Boot. Why it is not working? I'm not getting like that. She told. And she directly telling, see, I just made it as a at the red component. I made it as a Spring Bean. But why it is not injecting Karthik? Then I told immediately. So you made a object mapper class as a Spring Bean as well as you made that class as a you just created an object for this that class using a new keyword. Then when you do both, new keyword will dominate that Spring container created object. New keyword will dominate that one. So you will not get the advantages of Spring or Spring Boot when you create a using a new keyword. You can create it, but not recommended, sir. In a Spring Boot, especially, don't create it. Don't dare to create it as well. Why we need to create it? We have a good good approach we have it. So this is a flow. Can we convert this one into Spring Boot? Can we convert into Spring Boot? So this is a Spring project. Let's convert this into Spring Boot. How to create a Spring Boot project? So what is meant by Spring Boot? Nothing. Spring Boot is just a rapid application development, RAD application, Spring application, Spring RAD application, Spring RAD application. That means rapid application development. And whatever the, as I told, whatever the drawbacks are there in a Spring, so all the drawbacks are covered or fulfilled in a Spring Boot. See, to work with the Spring, at least you need a small, at least you need a XML knowledge, minimum XML knowledge you need it. But I don't want to work with the XML. Let's say here only one class is, two classes are there. You just easily made it as a, you just easily made it as a Spring. But think about it in a real time. In a real time, one application will contain a, one bank application will contain a thousands of classes and thousands of injections will be there. So how can you check where the injection has missed? If there is any issue, how can you check? So like how almost 1,000 lines of XML file is there. Then how can you check where is the mistake like that? Would be a problem, right? So just they immediately totally avoided the XML file in a Spring Boot. They totally avoided the XML file in a Spring Boot. Totally avoided. Totally avoided. Then what they made it, sir? What they, how they made it, sir? Okay, I will show you. But before that one, how to create a Spring Boot application? Spring Boot applications, standard way to create a Spring Boot application is spring start.spring.io. There is a website start.spring.io. There is a website. It's a very, very popular interview question. So they will ask what explain start.spring.io. You need to tell yes. Start.spring.io can be used to create a Spring Boot application where we have a provisions to provide a whatever the dependencies we need and where how to project that URL. Let's go to that URL start.spring.io. See here directly go to that. Why this is yes Spring initializer start.spring.io. So here, sir, by using a Spring, you can develop a Gradle Groovy applications, Groovy language, separate language is there. By using Spring, you can develop a Kotlin, Spring Boot, you can develop a Kotlin applications. Gravel, Gradle, Gradle is another build tool. Groovy, you can develop it. Kotlin, you can develop it. And Maven also you can develop. Sir, one time, one interviewer asked me this question. By using a Spring Boot in another, tell me any other language by using a Spring Boot we can develop application. Yes, Groovy and Kotlin are the languages where we can develop a Spring Boot application other than Java. So I'm just trying to create a project with the Maven build tool only. Maven build tool only. Then language, which language you want? Java, Kotlin, Groovy. I want Java only. Then version, which one you want? I just want 3.4.0 snapshot version. I want it. 3.4.0 snapshot version. I want it. Then you can, since you have mentioned Maven, so you must need to create a give a group ID, artifact ID name. You already knows it. What is meant by group ID? Group ID is it's generally a company name. I just want to mention it's a com.infosys or dot infi dot bank, something like that. Then artifact project name. My first Spring Boot, like that we can write it. My first Spring Boot application, Spring Boot app, and this is the name. And so description, if you want, what you want to give, you can give it. Then you want to packaging as a jar or where. jar or var. Generally, standalone applications, okay, it will be jar. But most of the cases, jar in a Spring Boot, there is no much difference. Even if you even if you take it as a jar as well, no problem. You can use that as a web application as well, no issues. Java archive, web archive, Java archive, web archive. Let's take it as a jar only. Then which version? 23, 21. Oh, 23 is introduced. 21 and 17. See, sir, someone has asked, is Java 17 is compatible with the Spring Boot? See, 21, 23 also compatible. But very rapidly, I'm telling you, Java, especially Spring Boot and Java, nowadays is trying to impress the developers and trying to impress the industry people like anything. You know, in a Java 23, they are planning to remove the entire main method. You know that, you know that they are trying to remove the main method. So Java also to give the best competition to the other languages like Python, .NET. So Java also struggling like anything and giving a very, very tough competition to them. Their Java is meant for security. Still, Java and Spring Boot is introducing a more security and multi-threading environment. See, after Oracle has acquired the Java, they have almost released 8 plus versions, Java versions. While I'm learning a Java, it's almost 1.8, but now it's almost 23 versions. That means how much rapidly they were moving. Okay. Yes. Yes. So Java 17. Java 17 I just selected. Now here something is there. Dependencies is there. Remember, while we are creating when we are creating a Spring application, dependencies we have added. Dependence we have added in a POM.xml, plain object model.xml. In the POM.xml, we have explicitly added by getting it from the mav and MVN repository. But here itself, I just want here itself we just have a provision to add the dependencies. See, add a dependency, add a dependency. Click on it. What dependency you want? What dependency you want? I want dependency Spring web dependency. I want. You want Spring security? Yes, select it. Yes, you can select a Spring web. You already selected. I want Spring security. You want security related to Java? Yes, dependency. Yeah, just add it. You want Spring Boot data JPA related thing. You want? Yes, select it here itself. You want Lambaka? Yes, you here itself you can hit it. You want to connect to the database. To connect to the database, you want MySQL jar. You want MySQL jar? Yes, here itself you can add it. Here itself you can add it. So everything you can, whatever the dependency you want, you can add. You want AOP related? Yes, AOP will come inbuilt. DevTools, Spring Boot DevTools you want? Yes, you can do. So everything, whatever the dependency you want a dependency for Apache, Apache LAN, Apache Kafka. Yes, add it. Whatever the dependency you want, you can add here itself. You should not go here and there to add the dependencies. Then once you added whatever the dependencies you want, just just generate generate. So it's generating the application. It is generating the application. See, once you generated the application, it is downloaded. See, automatically it got downloaded to my downloads folder. So once you downloaded it, then extract it somewhere. Here itself we can extract it if you want. Extract it. Once you extracted it, see here, application is there. Then src slash main slash java slash com dot all this infi dot bank all this came. See here all this came. Sir, you can create a application using Spring Boot application using start.spring.io, and here itself you can add a dependencies. How good it is. How good it is. You need not to go to that website, this website. You need not to search it. All the one-stop solution. One-stop solution like a Lulu Mall, like a Lulu Mall one-stop solution, right? Right. So, sir, every time do I need to come to this website and do I need to create it? No. If you want, you can create it from here itself. From here itself, you can create it. Sir, how to create, sir? Go to file, go to file, new, then see Spring Starter project. File, new. Earlier, while creating a Spring project, we have used Maven. Spring Starter project. Starter project. This, but this is starter project which also this is Spring starter project which is present in STS also using service URL is starter.spring.io only. Internally, this also using a starter.spring.io. Don't think it is using some other thing. It is also using start.spring.io. That means obviously anyway, if you want to create a Spring Boot application, you must go to that start.spring.io. Might be directly or indirectly you can go. You can go directly or indirectly also you can. Then name like you can add any name. My Spring Boot, my first Spring Boot application again. So clear my first Spring Boot app. You can create it. Then select Maven I want. Maven I want. Packaging I want a jar only. Yes. Java version 17 I want. Which language? I said right. Spring Boot application can be developed in a Java, Groovy, Kotlin. I just want to develop in a Java only. Then give a group ID. What is a group ID? It's generally a company name, reverse of a company name. Com.infosys. Let's give Infosys. Then artifact ID, my Spring Boot first application. Give the version. So release version is 0.001. I'm just giving it. Packaging. I'm just giving a packaging com dot my name com dot tech training, right? So tech dot com dot tech. I'm just trying to give. I'm just trying to give it that tech. Now next, click on the next. So once you click on the next, it is asking Spring Boot version. Which Spring Boot version you want to use it? See here, Java version here we have given here, but Spring Boot version we haven't given. So give Spring Boot version. I just want to 3.4.0. Then which jars you want to use it? I want Spring Web jars only. I want web jars. Just click web. You want to use theme leaf jars? Yes, here itself you can add it theme leaf. I want to use Spring Web jars. I want to use along with that. I want to use security also. For example, I'm just using Spring security. I want to use gateway, Spring Cloud Gateway. Here itself you can use it. I want to use Lambok. Here itself. So like this, here itself you can add the jars. Then finish it. Then finish it. Then see here it is creating it. It is creating it. It is creating a Spring Boot application. Sir, clear my point. Even though if you create a Spring Boot application using a STS Spring Tool Suite, it also will internally use a start.spring.io site. Spring initializer. It is a Spring initializer. Spring with the help of Spring initializer only, we can create objects. Sorry, we can create a Spring project. See, it is trying to download all the jars. It is trying to download all the jars. See, from the IO, it is trying to download. See, if you observe here, spring.io, it is trying to observe, download all the jars. Sir, here, when you are trying to observe carefully, when you are trying to work with the Spring application, how many jars you have added? How many jars you have added? You added Spring context. You have added Spring context support. We have added Spring hyphen beans. All these things we have added. But here, no need to add those and all. If you just add a Spring web jar, if you just add a Spring web jar, all this will be all this will be inbuilt in that web jar. You don't need to add a Spring context jar. You don't need to add a Spring context hyphen beans jar. You don't need to add any jar. Only one jar, that is web jar. Only Spring jar. You don't need all the jars. Even that with that Spring Tomcat server also will come. Tomcat server also will come. See here. I just added only in the Spring. See here, we just added context. We just added context support. We added Spring core. All these things we added, but here, see, I just added a security. I don't want now. I just to show you. I just added a security. I don't want. If you want, we can delete it as well. I don't want security now at this moment. I just want. I don't want even Lambak as well at this moment. Just to show you that this is available. I just added there. But all you need is only one is Spring Boot Starter Web. Spring Boot Starter Web. If you go inside that by clicking a control, if you go inside a Spring Boot Starter Web, so see these many, see time leaf also came. See, Spring Boot Starter time leaf also came. So these many internal jars there. Log4j, you no need to add log4j to when you are working with the Spring Boot. You no need to add log4j. Log4j. See, all these many jars came. All these jars combined together and they made it as a only one jar, that is web. That is web. But here, this is very, very important. But here, the big picture is there. So why this parent came? Why this parent came? Interview point of view, people will ask, what is the parent starter in a Spring Boot? What is the parent starter in a Spring Boot? Generally, whenever you just create a Spring Boot application, so for every Spring Boot application, parent starter will be there. So which can contain a contain a Spring Boot version, which can contain a Spring Boot version. See, we have selected 3.4.0. Remember, so and this Spring Boot starter parent is the main parent application which can have a all the jars related Spring Boot. All the jars related Spring Boot. Like Spring Boot, I told you, Spring Boot inbuilt will come with the Tomcat. Inbuilt will come with the Tomcat. And the plugins and all it can contain and all. Maven plugins and all. This starter project will contain. So go inside this one as well. See here, all the versions, all the Tomcat related. See here, search Tomcat Control F. See, Tomcat version 10.1.31. You no need to add a Tomcat server to the class path. It also will contain. Not only Tomcat servers are in a Spring Boot, 4 servers will be free. Tomcat, Undertow, Jetty, and 3 only. Sir. Tomcat, Undertow, Jetty. 3 versions are free. Here, you no need to add it. So pre-configured. If you can talk strictly, if you use a Spring Boot database also free, H2 database also free. H2 database also free to do the POCs. H2 database also free. You don't need to inbuilt database will come. Inbuilt database will come in a Spring Boot, whereas in a Spring it won't come. So this much. You no need to do add anything. Now see here project structure. See here how the project structure. SRC slash main slash Java, main slash resources, main slash resources. Same test packages to write a JUnits, J, JRE library, like means Java related jars will be there here, and Maven dependencies, Maven like Spring Boot related jars, all these jars will be there here. See here, Spring Boot starter test, Spring Boot starter logging, Spring Boot auto configure, all Spring security related jars, everything, every jar, see Tomcat related jars, all jars will come, yeah, in will be there in a Maven dependencies. Then what is this target slash generators or source? Did anyone knows about this folder? Did anyone knows about this folder? Sir, whenever you did Maven clean install, you might do in your real time. Maven clean install, it will generate a jars. Those jars will be stored in this target folder. And whenever you just run a all the JUnits, some surefire text files will be generated. Go and check in your real-time uh, project. Some surefire plugins will be generated. So those and all will be there in a target folder. Those and all will be there in this target folder. Generated sources here. Those and all will be there. Even, sir, you already knows it, right? Whenever we just whenever we just done Java C, dot class file will be generated. Those dot class file will have a bytecode. So all the dot class files will be for all the classes in a Spring Boot. Dot class files will be generated. Those dot class files will be placed in a target folder. Placed in a target folder. So that's why this target folder. And this SRC is a short form of SRC slash main slash Java. You want me to show us see this is a old application mine. So here, see, go to the target folder. See here, see generated test sources, Maven archivers, all these things were there. See, surefire reports. Surefire reports will be there. And test see, test one test has run, zero failures, zero errors, skipped zeros, time elapsed 5.253 seconds it took it to run it. All these reports will be there. Surefire reports enters like this. These are surefire reports. See here, whenever a jar has generated, that jar also that this jar also will be present in a target folder. Target folder. What infra people, what DevOps people will do, So whatever this jar is there, right? This jar is containing all the classes and everything. Right? So this jar they will take it and they will deploy in a containers. Then it will be available to the production. So like this. Here, once again, I will explain this Spring Boot project structure tomorrow, and then will and then I'll go and I will convert that project into Spring Boot. Let me